Thanks so much, Hani. Hi, everyone. So our event tonight is hosted by our Pioneer Alumni Group. As Friendship Circle graduates, we really saw this big desire for continued programming for our young adult volunteers and young adults with developmental disabilities. So in an effort to stay more connected, we've created a series of FC Talks to bring Friendship Circle back into the young adult community. And tonight we have Jake Weiner from ZOOZ Fitness. Jake has been working with individuals with disabilities in the community for many, many years. He's worked with young adults with learning, emotional, and developmental disabilities in various settings, such as adult vocational day programs, religious schools, one-on-one respite nonprofits, and summer camps. Jake started ZOOZ Fitness out of a need to create exercise opportunities for those individuals needing that extra push or support. In all of his years of teaching, mentoring, and working with individuals with disabilities, he realized that fitness programs and gyms were not set up to accommodate people of all abilities. Many individuals with disabilities were living very sedentary lives, gaining weight, not participating in any of those movement-related activities. And so ZOOZ Fitness was created to provide adaptive and inclusive and active programming for everyone, regardless of their skill or ability levels. Jake believes that every private and group session should include meaningful coaching, appropriate exercising, and of course, an element of fun. Jake graduated from University of Arizona with a bachelor's degree in psychology and a minor in marketing, and is a certified personal trainer, certified inclusive fitness trainer through the American College of Sports Medicine and the National Center of Health, Physical Activity, and Disability. Jake is also CPR AED certified and is a certified black belt instructor in the martial art of judo. So Jake, we're really excited to have you here tonight, and I will pass it over to you.
Awesome. Seth, thank you so much. And thank you to Friendship Circle Philly. This is my second event with you, and I'm super excited to be here. Coming all the way from Southern California, sunny Los Angeles. It's about 4 o'clock here. Sending a lot of heat your way. But I hear it's pretty nice there. So yeah, thank you so much. I want to kind of give you a rundown of kind of what we're going to chat about over this next like 45 or 50 minutes. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our gym and our space and kind of dive into a little more about why I started this, a little more than that description from Seth, which was amazing. But just, really the why behind what I do, what we do at ZOOZ Fitness. Similar to all of you, you are all a part of an organization that gives back to a really special population. And I'm sure each of you have unique experiences and both professional and personal experiences that you can kind of touch on and that relate to this population. But I wanted to just share kind of the why of what we do, kind of long-term goals of what, I think ZOOZ can be and should be, and really across like the entire country, not just in Los Angeles. We're gonna have about 4:15, so 4:15 our time, which I think is 7:15 your time, maybe. One of my athletes, her name is Sivan, a young woman with Down syndrome, is gonna come on and share kind of her experiences with ZOOZ. She's been with us for about 6 or 7 years, and is just an all-star. So I want you to hear from her kind of, why she does what she does, why she loves exercising, what it means to her. And then we'll kind of, after she hops off, we'll dive a little more into kind of the health benefits of movement, of exercise, especially as it relates to this population. Just by show of hands, does anyone love to exercise here? Okay, and it could be like a half hand, like maybe somewhat, right? So we either love it or, any hands that like, I know I need to do it. I don't really, but I know I need to. Anyone in the kind of that boat, right? So all of us are coming kind of into this conversation with preconceived notions of what fitness is, of what exercise is, and especially as it relates to working with individuals with disabilities. I hear time and time again, like, oh, fitness for special needs. Oh, you guys just like walk around the mall, or you guys do this or this. But like, there's so much more to it. And there's a lot of nuances that go into kind of what we do and how we do what we do, that I'd love to share with you. And then, I really would love like questions. I want this to be a conversation, even though we are virtual. I love talking and I have no problem doing it, but I love to hear from all of you. Questions that come up or thoughts or, that's really cool. Can you talk a little more about that? I would love, and feel free to kind of raise your hand, or if you'd like to chat, if you feel more comfortable, you can totally do that. But let's kind of kick it off. I'm also, since we are a fitness business, I'm going to try maybe to do a little bit of movement, not exercise stuff, but fun games that we like to do with different groups, if you're open to it. And I see some of you don't have your cameras on. If you'd love to have your camera, I'd love to kind of see you in action, and I'll show you what I mean in a little bit. So a little bit more about ZOOZ and kind of the why. We'll kind of dive into that. So like Seth said, ZOOZ really started, about 15 or so years ago. And it started as a need to get a population that was neglected, that is neglected, that is often left behind when it comes to movement related activities, right? So like I had mentioned, a lot of us have, these ideas of what fitness means for our own personal use, what fitness means for individuals with disabilities. But what we try to share at ZOOZ is that anything is possible when given the proper opportunity. And I'm going to use the word opportunity a lot because I think that, it really ties in beautifully to what we do. And I think what we do kind of as a greater community working with this population, when there's opportunities for anything, for any activity, we oftentimes see our athletes, our clients, our participants rise to that challenge, right? Or that activity. Why? Because they're not often given those opportunities. We hear over and over from parents, from our athletes themselves, that I hate exercising because I had a really bad experience when I was a kid. Or, I was shamed, when I couldn't run a mile because I have X, Y, or Z disability, I couldn't do it. So I felt like I was neglected, I was isolated, right? I'm sure a lot of you have kind of heard things similar from the people that you work with, in the friendship circle community. But what, my thought process was creating ZOOZ Fitness was there was no reason why someone on the autism spectrum, someone with Down syndrome, someone with a learning disability, a physical challenge, cannot or should not be able to enter into a fitness routine, right? So that's kind of how ZOOZ blossomed, and it really started from a really organic place. Like Seth had mentioned, my background is in martial arts and sports, and I've always really been active my entire life. So, as I was kind of growing up in my professional life, I worked at summer camps, I worked at nonprofit, for-profit, respite. I worked individually with families. I kind of did everything under the sun working with individuals with disabilities. And the one thing that I saw among all of the other challenges was that these individuals were very sedentary, very low muscle tone, did not have, any excitement or energy for exercise, right? Does anyone see that now? If you've ever tried to do like an exercise routine or movement or dance or yoga, does anyone have any experience like that? You just kind of nod your head or raise your hand. So I think a lot of us who have worked with this population, who maybe are more exercise inclined ourselves, have tried to incorporate that into the lives of the people we work with, but sometimes without a lot of success, right? And I think there's kind of a couple of things to note about that, and we'll touch on that in a second. But really just, that opportunity, came up for me. I worked in several jobs, and I really, I wanted to do something on my own. I felt like, it was time for me to be an entrepreneur, and I wanted to start my own business. And, when you're on that path, you blend those two ideas of what am I good at and what can I make money at and really make an impact. And for me, it wasn't really so much about the money, and I know it sounds cliche, but it truly was about giving back to the community that had given me so much, growing up in camp and working alongside individuals with disabilities and all the professional experiences that I had, this population, I connected with, and I really felt like I could help and make a difference. And that difference for me was, let's get this population moving, right? Let's get them moving their bodies. Let's get them more active. Let's get them healthier. And then everything else will kind of fall into place. So, it started off really as I was a mobile trainer. I had all the equipment in my car. I would drive all over Los Angeles, and really any family that I had met throughout my professional life. So whether at camp or nonprofit work or for-profit, I had all those families' contacts, I'd say, hey, listen, I'm doing some exercise at the park. I would love to get your son or daughter in there. Let's see how it works. You know, and it started 1, 2, 3 families, and it just grew like rapidly because there's just such a huge need for this, right? That opportunity was there. Families jumped on that opportunity. So it, you know, just started to grow organically, word of mouth. I mean, I didn't have like a logo. I didn't have a business name. It was just like Jake doing training. And it was a lot of fun, kind of those early years. And I think a lot of us, you know, who have started organizations or even with maybe in Friendship Circle Philly, like the evolution over the years, right? It evolves and it grows, and you really see the need of the community. And for us, it was really just all about the fitness and wellness piece. So over the years, it grew and grew. And in the back of my mind, you know, always was, I want to have a brick and mortar gym. You know, for me, that community piece, you know, I loved going to gyms. I loved to exercise. I love playing sports, you know, with friends and family at the park or whatever it might be. So I always felt like having a community space was something that was really needed. You know, very similar to a lot of, you know, a lot of organizations like Friendship Circle Philly, and there's one in Los Angeles. There's a brick and mortar like home base, right? Where families feel comfortable, they feel welcome. And especially with fitness and exercise, right? Doesn't elicit a lot of excitement, right? Not a lot of hands went up, like a little iffy about exercise. Like think about that. If you're someone with a developmental disability who might have certain physical limitations or poor motor control, motor planning, low muscle tone, like exercise is even further down that totem pole. So we have to do our best, right, to try to motivate and encourage. And part of that is having this community space that we call ZOOZ Fitness now, our gym, where our families and our athletes can come in and feel welcome and feel like they can gain confidence and self-esteem and feel inspired. So that was kind of the creation of the gym. Hi, Sivan. I see Sivan just popped on.
Hi.
Sivan, we'll get to you in 1 second. I'm just finishing up the story, then we want to hear from you, if that's okay.
Okay.
So yeah, we opened our brick and mortar gym about 2 years ago. We were just about to celebrate our 1 year pre-pandemic. Pandemic hit, we had to close our doors. And it really was that transition, you know, how do we still create opportunity, right? So with that, I would love, Sivan, for you to take a couple minutes and maybe, oh, perfect. Co-spotlight. Hi, Sivan. You want to say hi to everyone?
Hi.
So this is Sivan Buccinski. She is one of our all-star athletes. Sivan, how long have we been working together, training together?
I would say 10 years approximately, 10 years. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was a few more years than I had originally thought. 10 years. Okay. So Sivan is a really perfect example of someone who loves exercising. Am I right, Sivan?
Yes.
You just enjoy exercise?
Yes.
So Sivan is definitely an anomaly, right? With a lot of our athletes. Sivan is very active. She texts me when she works out, healthy eating, like she's just a true inspiration. But Sivan, you know, I would love to hear and for you to share with everyone, what is it about exercise that you love so much?
I love feeling the drippiness of the sweat. I would either would have the fan running. I have a ZOOZ towel, and it makes me feel good and proud because then my body can be fitter and easier to get into things like clothes-wise that I can easily fit in. And so those are the two reasons why I like to exercise.
Love it. Love it. Can anyone relate to love being sweaty? Right? That's not something you typically hear, right? Maybe some of us. Yeah, for sure. Sivan, yeah, I'm definitely the same way. And Sivan, why do you think ZOOZ Fitness is the gym for you? I mean, there's a lot of other gyms in Los Angeles, right?
Right.
Why do you like coming to ZOOZ Fitness and now coming virtually to ZOOZ Fitness classes?
one part is I prefer being in an actual gym, but thanks to the difficulties, I don't mind doing it virtually. I like exercising with friends either in real life or virtually.
Love it, love it. And Sivan, like this idea of kind of being healthy and exercise and eating right. What would you say to someone like who might have like a challenge with that, or someone like, because I mean we have a lot of friends on, you know, on the ZOOZ groups and people you used to come into class with who might not be as healthy as you, right? What's like some like words of advice that you maybe would give them, or like a reason why to start being healthy?
So there are two things that I try to do. One is to like every once in a while I would add not as much sweets and dark sodas, and also I go by the food pyramid or the food pyramid plate, and on that it has the amount per serving, so I would do that. And also like either the weekends or the days I exercise really hard, I would treat myself to one half the size of sweets, but not all day every day.
Not all day, every day. Yeah, Sivan, those are great tips for sure. Sivan joined our nutrition class, I think like a year ago now when we had it back at the gym. And Sivan, it's been really incredible to see like your transformation this past year during COVID, right? Moving everything to virtual, how you've lost weight, you've gotten healthier, you look incredible, you're feeling great, right? And inspiring your family, like you've been getting your family to move more, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Sivan, that's incredible. Yeah, anything else you want to share, Sivan?
I'm gonna start cooking in my family's kitchens, getting fitter after fitter, making smart choices, and try to stay in the neutral line, basically. But sometimes I would have some moments of enjoying way too much sweets, but I have to moderately cut that down or not having that. I've been having fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, Sivan, that's amazing. You continue to inspire, Sivan. I know you're with your family. We don't want to keep you, but thank you so much for popping on and just saying hi.
You're welcome.
We'll let you go, and I'll see you very soon in class.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Sivan.
Thank you.
All right. So that's Sivan. She really like, this is not a show for her. Like, this is truly like, she just loves to exercise. Whenever I can get Sivan in front of people, like she's really inspiring, and she's lost like tons of weight over COVID, doing everything virtual. I mean, it's really incredible, but like you hear it firsthand, right? Like I can continue to preach about what the effects are and benefits and why we do what we do, but hearing from someone like Sivan, you know, it's like, it's just really inspiring that like, no matter what's going on in your life, like you're going to get moving. And we maybe, you know, she has the intellectual ability to understand like the nutrition piece, and really like, I've eaten too many sweets, I got to cut back this week. And she texts me all the time, and it's really sweet. Yeah, so that's Sivan. I'll definitely thank her for popping on. So kind of going back to kind of what we do, you know, the gym was open. We had to transition kind of everything to virtual. And you know, similar to that opportunity, you know, when our gym closed, and I think all of us can relate, like when the pandemic hit, the question arises, how do I still do what I was doing before? How do I still maintain a certain level of like normalcy, professionally, personally, you know, and, you know, I don't know if kind of the management or whoever's running Friendship Circle Philly, like what that thought process was. But for me personally and our team, it was like, oh my God, like we just opened this brick and mortar gym. This is our community. In-person training is all we got. Like, how do I transition this? And it was like those first couple weeks. I also had a newborn baby, which didn't help, the situation at all. But, it was like that thought process of, okay, how do I still create opportunity? And how do I keep everyone inclusive and active, right? So I'll touch on a little bit of that inclusion piece because it'll help kind of tie everything in. When the gym was first created, right? This idea of like inclusion, for us at ZOOZ Fitness, this idea of inclusion is really like we welcome anyone and everyone, regardless of ability. Our tagline, our motto, we create adaptive, inclusive, and active routines, right? So no matter what we're doing, no matter what program we're creating or group class or private session, those are kind of our 3 pillars that we run everything by. Is this adaptive, right? And that might mean something different for everyone. For a lot of our athletes who are on the autism spectrum, they might not need a lot of, regressions or adaptations to the movements. They might just need like a slower pace of the way I'm coaching. They might just be deconditioned and just low muscle tone. So we got to tone it down. But like everyone comes into that, whether you're neurotypical or you have a developmental or physical disability, everybody's coming into a gym or a fitness center or a place of movement with different baggage or, a history of pain or injuries, right? So the adaptation piece and adaptiveness of all of our movements is with everybody, right? It doesn't matter, like I said, it doesn't matter who you are or what diagnosis you have, right? The inclusion piece is kind of going into that. We welcome everyone. We have individuals with disabilities training alongside individuals who are neurotypical. We have parents training with their kids. We have siblings training side by side, right? So exercise has this really beautiful way of breaking down barriers, right? Socially, physically, and just this idea of like, this whole notion of what it means for individuals with disabilities to exercise, right? When I'm throwing a med ball at someone on the autism spectrum, it doesn't really matter. They got to catch the ball, they got to throw it back, right? It levels the playing field no matter what you have. And that's why I think it's so beautiful, exercise and what it can do. We do a lot of group classes and group trainings with different organizations, and we bring in a lot of our athletes to come in. And it's like super cool because at the end of the session, 9 times out of 10, I hear like, oh my God, like they did that exercise better than I did, or they moved better than I did. Well, I'm like, yeah, because they've been training and you haven't. Like, it doesn't matter that they have a disability, right? So that for me is like, it's like that aha moment. Like, this is inclusion at its finest, side by side, working together to accomplish a goal. And that might mean something different for every organization. For us, that means fitness and reaching your goals of weight loss or healthier eating, or I want to be more mindful about certain things. So that's kind of really cool about the inclusion piece and inclusiveness of ZOOZ Fitness. And then obviously the active piece, right? We're a gym at the end of the day. No matter what you say, like, we want to help you reach your goals physically, whether that be weight loss. I want to eat better. I want to learn how to read nutrition labels. I want to learn how not to hurt myself when I get out of bed. I think a lot of us can relate to that, those 3 pillars that really translate to the entire population and any age bracket, right? We have athletes who are 7, we have athletes who are 91, and everywhere in between. Real quick, I think I didn't mention, I've been using the term athlete a lot. I don't use the word client. I hate the word client. All of our clients are considered athletes. We address them as athletes when we talk about them to different organizations. They're athletes. For me, when you're talking about fitness and inspiring and showing that like anything is possible, when you're called an athlete, like, I don't know if any of you are athletes or played in college or whatever, like it kind of sets you above everyone else, right? And oftentimes, like, I think Sivan actually in particular, the first time she heard that she was an athlete, that I was calling her that, she's like, oh my God, like, I'm an athlete, like, really? And she like told all of her friends and all of her family, like, hey, I'm an athlete. Jake says I'm an athlete. And like, that for me, it is incredible because that, I have some buy-in, right? I'm more likely to get her to exercise with us because she has these notions of like, she's an athlete, which is what we want, right? Again, removing all these barriers, the psychological, emotional barrier that a lot of people have before entering into a fitness routine is often the hardest part. Like I said, a lot of times our athletes have horrible experiences as kids in PE or have no experiences. So by the time they're 30, 40, they've like never exercised really. They've maybe gone on walks. So now we're asking them, to do all these like rope swings and med ball throws and lifting heavy weights because they're athletes and they're able to do it, right? So that's kind of just a really cool piece of kind of in the pillars of what we do. And really like inclusion, as a whole, we really, strive to reach out to organizations and really show the power of exercise and how it can bring people together, which is really like a really incredible thing. And, we did a event with the participants of Friendship Circle Philly, and I think they had a good time, right? I think everybody moved from just what you said and Alexa, like it was a lot of fun. And I think for a lot of them, it was probably like their first opportunity or first time that like someone's been in their corner in regards to movement, right? You were all, I'm sure, in some capacity are cheerleaders or, mentors or, parental figures, whatever it might be, even more so us also, we're all of those things. Plus like we're trying to instill this confidence in them that like, yes, you can lift that 10-pound med ball. Okay, we didn't do it today, but guess what? Next week, we're going to do 8. And then we're going to do 9, and then we're going to do 10, right? We're always cheering them on every step of the way. And that's really like across the board. We have many neurotypical individuals who also have like all this hatred towards exercise and are coming to us because they don't want to go to like a big box gym because it's very intimidating, right? I don't know if any of you go to like a big gym. Here it's like a Gold Gym, LA Fitness, like these huge facilities that are like really intimidating. The lights, there's music, there's good looking people. There's people who like look really buff and know what they're doing. And then like, you're coming in there like, who am I? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what is this crazy machine? And even more so with individuals with developmental disabilities, they're not even going to step through the door unless someone gives them the chance or the opportunity, right? You don't often see individuals with disabilities. Typically, and granted, a lot of times you can't visually see a disability, but you're walking into a space and, you don't really see a lot of our population. Does anyone see any Friendship Circle Philly people like in the gym in the past? You don't have, right? Maybe so here and there. I love asking other professionals, like, do you ever see this? And typically the answer is no, because it's just, there are so many barriers and obstacles. And I'll get into that now of like why individuals with disabilities are not moving their bodies. I think a big one, like we talked about, low muscle tone is a big one we see in individuals with developmental disabilities. Poor motor planning, coordination, proprioception, which we're going to do a game in a second to test all of you. There's also like a lot of coaches and trainers are not really comfortable or equipped to work with someone with a developmental disability who might have certain behaviors, right? A lot of the stereotypical behaviors, the flapping of the hands or the vocalizations or the self-talk, all these things that are like, quote unquote, like not normal in society. Like, who cares? Like a lot of that stuff is completely welcomed at ZOOZ. We never turn someone away because of those things. Those things should be welcomed. And they're often not in kind of your everyday society, and especially in gyms, right? Gyms are really like the elite and people who look good and who really want to, like, especially in Los Angeles, right? It's like, it has this certain aura around it that turns a lot of people away. And that's one of the major obstacles that I wanted to remove completely. So with that, I want to do a little game because you see, I can't sit still. I'm always moving my body. It's a good thing I'm a trainer, right? It's a good profession for me. So here's what I want you to do. You don't have to participate, and nobody's judging. It's just recorded, but nobody sees it. You're going to put your hands up like this, okay? And I want you to close your eyes. And I'll show you an example. And for those of you who don't have a camera on, still do it. It's okay. You don't have to turn your camera on. So what I want you to do is close your eyes, and you're going to try with one index finger, right? Close one hand, put one finger. You're going to try to touch each individual finger. So your thumb, your first finger, your middle, your ring, and your pinky. But while doing that, what I want you to do, so if you look towards me real quick, because the same, some of us are doing different things. I love that you're all joining in because I love it. Love it. So here's what I want. So watch me first, and hopefully I'll do it correctly. So I go here, I thumb, I come all the way back. First finger, I've had some practice, but I still, right? Touching just the top of the finger with one try, always coming back to that center. See how you do. So make sure you close your eyes. Try it out. Trick is closing your eyes out. I see some smiling, I see some laughing. Maybe we missed a finger. Maybe we touched the same one twice. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you keep working, try the other side. Try the other side. You probably did your dominant hand first. All right. Some of you are really good. All of you are really good. Don't worry. Cool. Love it. Did anyone find that like a little challenging? I know I first did the first time, right? Like this idea of proprioception, right? I don't know if anyone's heard this term. It's a big term in the fitness world. Knowing your body's like having body awareness, right? A lot of times we probably notice like a lot of the individuals we work with, like they're often all over you, hugging or touching or like need some like sensory feedback. I know with all of our athletes, that was the hardest part about, COVID, when we were open for like a month and we had everyone back in and it was like everyone wanted to touch and hug and high five and this. And it was like, great. Like, I love you, but we can't touch. Like, let's keep a distance, right? That was the hardest part. That proprioceptive feedback, knowing where your body is in space, is something that a lot of individuals with developmental disabilities have trouble with. So like a beautiful thing and some of the benefits of exercise, which we'll touch on, when you hold, a sandbag, we have these like cool sandbags that are all different weights, like 4 pounds up to 30 pounds. When you're physically holding it, I don't know if you've ever like held weight, right? You get that feedback immediately, that physical feedback. It feels good, whether you do slams or you shoulder press or you do like a core twist, whatever it is. Like many of our athletes, and I ask them all the time, like, how does this make you feel? And they feel like grounded and they feel like they can actually feel their body. We oftentimes like throw sandbags like over their shoulder and have them do like these runs or work through a ladder. There's a lot of cool things you can do with that proprioceptive feedback is just like throwing weight on them. A weighted vest, right? Any of us who are here have ever like, when there's certain behaviors that we need to help individual relax or calm their body. What's the first thing we do is often like throw on a weighted vest or a weighted blanket. And that's for that proprioceptive feedback. It gives them like a sense of, I know where my body is in space, right? And that's just kind of a cool game you can try with your family and friends, see if they get it. It's kind of a fun one. But so proprioception is a big thing. Motor planning, right? Motor planning is also your body and mind connecting as one, right? So like if I say, perform a squat, which I won't make you do, don't worry. Motor planning is having the ability to actually do that. I can process, I can plan, okay, at first, I need to put my hips back. I need to bend my knees. I need to, sit down, keep my core tight. A lot of these things that go into like movements in general, individuals with developmental disabilities oftentimes have trouble motor planning that. So we oftentimes see like, awkward type movements or kind of floppy movements or, something that's not controlled looking. A lot of times, as we all know, there are many individuals who are just like all-stars and who can crush it at everything, right? But for a good portion of individuals with developmental disabilities, like motor planning their body is really tough. So what we do and why exercise is so amazing, we can break down those steps as basic as they can be, right? So like a squat pattern, very, very fundamental with activities of daily living, right? That's a big thing that like we say in the fitness world, ADLs, activities of daily living. Your things that you take for granted. You sit and you stand all day, right? We have to maintain good posture when we're sitting at our desk, especially virtually. I don't know if any of us are like slouched over, right? Maybe we step a little tall. Like a lot of these things that we kind of talk about, you don't need to do that at all. But like a lot of these things that we don't think about, we push and we pull things. We have to carry groceries. Like a lot of these things, many of our athletes are not doing these things because they feel uncomfortable. They've never learned how. They don't have the muscular strength for it, right? And that motor planning piece is we break it down as basic as it is, and we have tools at the gym or tools of coaching on how to make that happen, right? And we break that down, and it's oftentimes it might take weeks, it might take months, it might take years to get through a certain movement pattern. But at the end of the day, we're going to make these slow incremental achievements and these milestones that they're going to feel really confident about. And that again helps get that buy-in. So not only are they an athlete, right, they have that confidence, but they're learning these skills that help them. Hey, mom, dad, like I want to help you carry the groceries. We get that all the time. That's a big thing I asked. I just had a recent session I did an intake for, and I was like, well, what's one of your goals? Like anything around the house, any activities that you do day to day? He's like, yeah, like I really like would love to help my parents like carry groceries and help around the house. I was like, okay, great. Like, A, you were able to tell me that. Let's start to work on those skills, right? So holding weights at your side. And I mean, there's a lot of like movements you can do related to those activities of daily living that are oftentimes overlooked as basic, as like remedial, as like not needed. But, you know, a big portion of those fundamental movements, pushing, pulling, sit to stand, balance, flexibility, these are things that 99% of the population need, that are often overlooked, right? We see a lot of people trying to do heavy, like, you know, barbell lifts or heavy squats or this because it's perceived to look better. I look stronger, but like, can you do a bear crawl? Can you do a body weight push-up? Can you just keep your core tight? Can you lift one leg and hold it for 20 seconds? Right? A lot of these foundational and really functional movements is a big thing that we focus on ZOOZ. Body weight heavy. I mean, obviously we have a gym with all the bells and whistles, and it's a really cool space. You can check it out on social media if you'd like. But like, we do 90% of our stuff body weight. And especially now that everything's virtual, a lot of our families don't have any equipment. So the question, you know, the question is posed, I don't have any equipment, so I can't exercise, you know, right? No, that's completely wrong, right? There are so many things that you can do from a very foundational level and very functional level that will help you and assist you throughout your life and activities of daily living, but also to add more weight over time. Like if I'm doing a body weight squat, that's easy. Okay, I'm going to throw a sandbag over your shoulder, 5 pounds. When that becomes easy, I'll throw 10, 20. So you can make those steps, and our athletes are seeing the progress, right? They're seeing that their weight goes up. We track all that. Hey, you did 5 pounds last week. This week you're doing 10. Like that's really incredible and inspiring to each individual that we work with. And they feel that sense of confidence and self-esteem, right? And we just keep increasing that as we go. So proprioception, motor planning. I'd like maybe to throw in another game if that's okay. This one it's going to require us to maybe stand up. Is that something that we're open to? Okay. If you are, stand up with me. If not, again, no worries. But just to kind of give you an idea, right? We've been sitting for a little bit of time right now. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Work with me here. This is sometimes hard to explain, but hopefully I'll get it right. So I'm going to give you 4 tasks. Jump forward, jump back, jump left, jump right. Now, what we say with all of our athletes, if you don't want to jump or you don't feel comfortable, step. So step forward, step back, step left, step right. Now, it's going to also require you to say something out loud. You do not have to unmute yourself. And if there's anyone around you, let them know you're going to be talking so you don't seem crazy, but it's going to be fun. Okay, so here's what we're doing. 4, jump forward, jump back, jump left, jump right. Okay, the first step, you're going to repeat what I say and do what I say. So repeat what I say and do what I say. Okay, so let's try it. Jump forward. Good, and you have to say it. Again, I can't hear you, but make sure you're saying it. Jump back. Jump left. Jump right. Jump forward. Jump back. Jump left. Jump left. Okay, did anyone mess up on any of those? That was our most foundational. I don't want to say basic. Foundational one. Okay, so we're gonna bump it up a little bit. You all seem like experts already. So I want you to repeat the opposite and do the opposite. So if I say jump left, you're gonna say jump right, and you're gonna jump right. Cool. So jump left. Jump right. Jump forward. Jump back. Jump forward. Okay, good. And we're cutting it down a little bit. We would do this for a lot longer. Anyone have any trouble with that one? Maybe? Okay. Okay, we're going to step it up one more notch. You ready? You're going to repeat what I say, but do the opposite. Repeat what I say, do the opposite. Jump forward. Jump back. Jump left. Jump right. Jump forward. Jump left. Jump back. Okay, cool. All right, come have a seat with me now. Cool. So the whole idea of that, right? And maybe some of you have ideas, and I'd love to hear like anyone have any comments about that? Like that was really hard, or oh my God, I don't want to ever do that again. Does anyone have any comments real quick before I?
Definitely, yeah, it definitely took me a little bit longer to process with each one. It's like, am I going left or am I going right?
Yeah, because it's like 3 steps. It's processing what you heard, thinking about what you have to do, and then doing it.
Yeah, no, Sam and Jess, you're absolutely correct, right? And I'll tell you that kind of reason why we like to do that. And we do this both the proprioception game and this game with a lot of our large groups. And this is really fun if everyone's in a big group and everyone's holding hands. It's like the more people, the better. It is a lot of fun because 9 times out of 10, our athletes get it right and their support staff completely butcher it. So everybody's kind of jumping and bumping each other. It's like it's crazy fun. So you can definitely try that and take that with you tonight. It's like a fun icebreaker too, because it gets people moving, it gets people interacting. So it's really cool. But it's that whole idea of that. It's this idea of motor planning, proprioception, right? Conceptually and intellectually understanding the concept. What do you want me to do? What am I processing, right? A lot of individuals on the spectrum or with certain disabilities have processing delays. Those with learning challenges might require just for you to repeat that several times or whatever that might be, so it's really like a good way for us, like as professionals who work with this population, to really understand that, like if I say, hey, John, can you do a squat? And he just stands there. A lot of the professional world for many years was they're being non-compliant. They just don't want to do it. And it's like, no, like maybe the way I said it, the intonation, maybe they couldn't hear me. Maybe they didn't understand what a squat is. Like there's so many other factors that go into it. And especially with exercise, like removing those obstacles, the processing disorders and delays is something that a lot of our athletes face. So as a coach, it's my professional duty, right, to make sure that they understand what I'm saying. If they don't understand it, then that's a whole nother ballgame, and let's work through the ways that we can get them to understand it. But really, it's this idea of let's kind of check ourselves, check our ego, and make sure that the individuals that we're working with actually understand what the task is at hand. And it might not be that they just don't want to do it. It might be like they're thinking about something else from yesterday that they're taking into this session, so maybe I take a step back and I have a little meditation, or I say, like, let's talk through what's bothering you. There might be a certain behavior, the ABCs of behavior, antecedent behavior, consequence. Like we can look at some of that stuff, why they're not processing that at that time, and for a lot of our families, it's, they always tell me, like, my kid's not going to do it. Well, have you given them the opportunity? Have you shown them? Have you given them like multiple steps? Have you broken it down? Right? There's like so many things that we can kind of dive into why these parents say exercise is not working, and what they say exercise doesn't work, so I'm not going to do it. Right? A lot of support staff, a lot of parents, a lot of professionals. Again, exercise is not something that's typically included because it can be pretty challenging. But when you know certain tips and tricks, like it really removes a lot of those barriers. And now the only barrier is like, okay, how do we keep them motivated? How do I come up with fun exercises to keep them engaged? And that's the kind of stuff that just comes with like practice and experience. And the more you work with this population, you find out like, a lot of times they love to exercise, but maybe not burpees. Who likes burpees other than me? Like maybe we'll do some bowling with a medicine ball and cones. That's a fantastic exercise. They're holding a 10-pound ball, they're throwing it, coordination, motor planning, there's a lot that goes into that. So those are some of the benefits. I think a lot of executive functioning, working memory, tasks, like giving them multi-step tasks is really great. A lot of things that can translate to the academic realm is something that we work a lot with fitness. We work a lot on on speech and language. I just had a session the other day. The athlete we work with, we're always trying to work on communication. And I said, like, okay, we're going to do some bench press. He happened to love bench press. And I asked him, like, how many reps are we doing? And he had to remember what I originally said. I didn't tell him again, and then I asked him, like, what's the next exercise? So there's a lot of like really cool skills that you can work on within a fitness realm, but they're getting that, and they're getting like cardiovascular work. They're getting muscular work for strength. They're getting more flexible. They're getting more mobile. So there's like, we're targeting all these different things. And what we always like to say is, like, even if you're a teacher in an academic space, incorporate some movement. Get up. Like nobody likes to sit for hours on end, right? So I think a big portion is having an opportunity and a little bit of knowledge and some excitement around, hey, let's make this fun. Because if I'm not having fun, there's no way you're going to be having fun, right? Our athletes, these individuals, our participants can read right through that, right? I don't know if anyone's ever led a program and like maybe we weren't like so down that day or we were just tired. Like you could tell it probably wasn't the most incredible event, or maybe it was. Maybe you're good at you're good at hiding it, right? I can't hide it. Like I try to leave all the baggage, whatever, outside the gym when I come in. It's like this is trainer mode because each athlete deserves that, right? And no matter what activity it is, they deserve our best and our full energy. So we really try to do that in each and every session. And with exercise, it's really kind of fun because I'm moving there with them, and I got endorphins flowing, and blood's pumping, and it's just crazy fun. So what else? I want to be mindful of time. I would love to hear some questions. I know we kind of touched on a lot. I could talk to you for hours about everything, but I want to be mindful of your time. And any questions that maybe come up or comments?
Yeah.
Hey,
I have a quick question. So one thing I took out of when you were talking with Sivan earlier, I think was the idea that she was very excited about not just the fitness aspect of it, but about the living healthy outside of ZOOZ Fitness. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what you do while they're at ZOOZ in order to help them incorporate it into their lives outside when they're not actually actively working out with you guys.
Yeah, Ben, that's a fantastic question. So that's a big thing. So for a lot of the athletes that we work with, we see them once a week for 45 minutes, right? And even now it's virtual. So how do we instill that sense of excitement around exercise and eating healthy when they're not at ZOOZ, right? And that's always like our $1 million question. How do we keep this population? How do we keep our athletes engaged? And I think that there's a couple things. I think when you create the opportunity, right? I told you I'd use that a lot because it's really an important word. When you create that opportunity, it lends itself to our athletes wanting to do more, right? When they see the positive effects of exercise in the gym or during a session, that just like gets them talking about it at home, right? With their parents, with their support staff. It gets them thinking a couple of days later, hey, like I love that feeling. I want to do it again. We oftentimes, encourage that by writing them routines to do at home. Or, we have a YouTube page that during the pandemic, we've tried to like build up, and we have like, we have some cool videos that they can follow. And we're always trying to do more. But it starts in the gym. It starts with that face-to-face approach. When you build the rapport, when you build that friendship, that mentor, mentee, friend, colleague, whatever you want to call it, that relationship, it oftentimes gives way to our athletes wanting to do more, right? And each and every week, I'm going to be asking them, not calling them out, but like, hey, Sivan, did you work out this week? You're like, no, I forgot to. I'm like, Sivan, no worries. Let's hit it this week. Let's keep going. You're always encouraging them. When, in the fitness world, you need to have someone who keeps you accountable, right? Accountability is the biggest piece about fitness, no matter who you are, whether you're doing a nutrition plan or you're doing a fitness plan. A lot of these like apps and social media fitness trainers right now, it's the accountability. Join my Facebook group, or I'm gonna do a weekly check-in with you, right? For us, it's that same kind of thing. We oftentimes check in via text, or a lot of our athletes love to FaceTime at all hours of the day. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. So it's like you check in, you encourage, but it really starts that foundation at the gym, because they see that they're confident and they're inspired, and that there's someone who's backing them up. There's someone who's in their corner, and it just, they always want to do more. And I'm not going to say everyone. Sometimes it's a challenge, and it sometimes takes months for them to start doing exercise outside of ZOOZ. And for many of our athletes who I've worked with for years, when they come to ZOOZ, it's the only exercise they do. But guess what? That's better than what they were doing before, which was absolutely zero. So that's all. That's a really good question. It's always something we ask as coaches. How do we still continue to provide, these services, and especially virtually like this? This is the hardest part for me. I love the face-to-face interaction. And like that, I feel like we lost some of that virtually because some of our athletes are not able to do virtual training for various reasons. So it's like, we're always trying to do more, always and always.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? If not, I can just kind of wrap up.
ZOOZ Philly.
Anna.
Yeah, I have a question. Can you share a really incredible or inspiring story of one of your athletes that came in that maybe struggled and overcame?
Yeah, for sure. So I have two that come up, and
Cool.
I'm trying to think of some more. So I'll tell you one, not really overcame a challenge, but I mean, kind of generally speaking. So one of our athletes, his name is Michael. I wouldn't say he doesn't love exercise, but he doesn't also hate it. You know, he's kind of like indifferent. His mom kind of made him do it at first. I've known him, you know, he was at Camp Vermont, California that I worked at. So I've known him for a long time. So he was more willing to work out with me because he had a relationship. So he was coming in for like a couple months, and his birthday was like rolling around. And of course, for your birthday, you know, you don't exercise on your birthday. You do something more fun, obviously. So his mom said, like, we're going to be going to Disneyland on his birthday. Michael had other plans. He refused to go to Disneyland because he didn't want to miss his session with me at the gym. So like that, his mom texted me that she's like, Jake, I don't know what you did to him. You brainwashed him. Disneyland is his favorite place. He doesn't want to go on his birthday because he wants to come to fitness. They ended up going at a later date. But like that for me was like, oh my God, like what we're doing is actually, actually making an impact because, you know, for anyone really, like, you know, unless you're crazy like me, I'd rather exercise and do a lot of other things, but that's just me. But for a lot of us, like there are so many other activities that we love to do as opposed to exercising and getting sweaty, right? So like that for me was like a really like just an incredible moment. I haven't seen him in a while since COVID, but he's going to come back very soon. So that I think is a really cool story I like to share. And I'm trying to think if there's like another, like in particular, I mean, we have stories all the time of just like, you know, parents coming in and saying like, Jake, you know, or with the other coaches, I don't know what you guys do at ZOOZ, but like my kid is now socializing with their friends, you know, in school there. And also they make friends in the gym, right? We used to have a lot of these group classes that a lot of our kids class, especially kids love to schmooze and hang out and talk to everyone. Doesn't matter if they know each other. And like many of our athletes who didn't know each other prior to coming to ZOOZ are now best buddies. And two of these athletes like are individuals who are not very verbal and who don't like are very shy and don't love communicating with people. They're like best buddies, and they FaceTime, they Zoom, they like chat all the time throughout this pandemic. And like that also is like, those are the stories that we hear time and time again of, you know, again, these barriers being broken down, these obstacles socially is a big thing. Again, when you're throwing a med ball at someone, I got to look at you or else I'm going to get hit, which happens all the time. But the next time I'll try to catch, you know, it's just naturally lends itself to wanting to talk more and be social, which is really like the coolest thing for us.
Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
I got
Esther,
a
what's up?
question. So I've been thinking a lot about kind of like the adaptability of like more technically advanced sports. Like I climb and like always like when I went to school in Vermont, and like my friend is I forget the word for it, but like he's attached as support staff to someone who has Down syndrome, and
Cool.
He skis, like we ski with Andrew. And so I was thinking like kind of about how like a layman can kind of work towards getting these more like technically advanced and like a little bit not necessarily exclusionary spaces, but kind of making them more inclusive.
Yeah, so I think a couple of things, and tell me if I'm not answering your question at the end. But like, you know, I think the biggest thing is being open to asking questions. You know, when I first started this, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. You know, when ZOOZ started originally, you know, I had experience working with individuals with disabilities, and I had experience with fitness, but like working with these individuals and fitness, like that wasn't so much of what I was trained in doing. You know, I had separate experiences. So it was really like those first couple of years was like an exploratory phase for me. And I think this is what I say to like anyone trying to be more inclusive and adapt certain exercises or activities is like, ask the individual, like, how can I best help you? Like, what do you need? I don't claim to know it all or to understand this entire population. There's no ego. I love to learn. I love to ask questions. And if there are certain things that these individuals need that they're not getting, I love to ask those questions. So like more of like a climbing or something more technical, I would say break it down to its most foundational level. So like as far as climbing, right? You can practice a lot of climbing skills on like foam pads. There's like a lot of these like, indoor parkour or indoor climbing spaces that are really like geared for kids and really beginners. Like whatever the sport is, you can always take it down to its most basic foundational level, build up those skills, and then try to include that individual into a more advanced version if they're capable. But like, pairing someone who's really knowledgeable with someone who's not, like, how do I connect those two? Right? For a lot of the movements that we do, it's like a lot of athletes don't know them, but let's break it down even further. So I don't know, did that answer your question?
It did. And I kind of have a follow-up,
Okay.
which is, have you ever encountered like a parent or a support staff that are setting limitations for their child? And like, how did you deal with that?
Yeah. So fantastic question. Cause I just had a talk with one of my coaches about this, and this is the hardest part of my job. And, as a professional and as a business owner, there are many times where we have athletes who come in, who train, whose parents are sitting in like our waiting room, and the gym is like completely open, so you can see everything, or support staff waiting who are just like yelling from the side, move faster, do this, like stop that, like quiet your hands, this, like, and that's the hardest part for me. And I oftentimes deal with it in a way that like, I often don't say anything. Right. And I'll tell you for several reasons. These parents are paying for our services. They're not paying for me to lecture them on how to be a parent or how to be a support staff. So we have to mitigate that on our end as much as possible. So we put them in an environment, maybe at the opposite side of the gym, where we're working on a more like a different skill, where maybe they're on the ground where they can't hear or they can't see. Like, so I try to work around that. If it gets to the point where the parents are like really excessive, I'll say like, listen, we're trying to do our best here. They're making progress, but let them do it on their own pace. Can you give us a little time? Like, we'd love, there's a coffee shop. Like, if you want to go, please feel comfortable. A lot of times it's like in the beginning when parents are nervous about dropping their kids off, and they want to feel like they're giving back and they're doing something, but it oftentimes is counterproductive, right? When I'm trying to coach and I want them listening to me, I don't need you like on the side yelling whatever it is you're yelling, and oftentimes it's things that like don't bother us, and the things that we welcome. We want you starting where you're at. If you're going through the ladder and you're going slow, it's usually because that's really where you're at right now physically. So by someone from the side yelling go faster, that's not going to make it go faster, right? That's just going to be kind of annoying. So it really is a challenge, and I love our parents to death, and our community is incredible, but that's, as a professional, it's that fine line between, when do I step in? Listen, we're also a professional. You came here for a certain reason. You trust us. You believe in what we're doing. Let us do our job. Have this time for respite. Have this time to go relax. Go get a massage. Do that. I always encourage our parents. And often, third, fourth, fifth session, the parents literally kick their kid out the car and they're like off and running. So it's really like, it's parents of younger kids, and then parents who are just kind of starting out, learning who we are and what we do. But that's always like, I had this talk the other day with my coach, and it's always that fine line, do I say something? Do I not? So.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Of course. So, I'm happy to wrap it up. If there's again, I want to be mindful of the time, right? Where Jess, do a wrap up, or Alexa?
Oh, sure, we can. I can close you out. Do you have any last things you want to say? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No worries. It's hard on Zoom to see who's talking and what. The biggest thing I'd say, right, and what I like to finish with is give the opportunity for movement. And all of you, some of you might not love exercise, but there are like really simple things like, going for walks, or, doing some simple calisthenic stuff. You can check out our YouTube page. There's tons of YouTube content. Not everything's amazing, but you can kind of weed through. But the idea is just get your population, get your bodies, your own bodies, your families, everybody moving, because it really just makes such an impact when you work with this population to set a good example. If I'm trying to tell you to do something, you better believe I'm going to be doing it myself, because I'm not going to tell you to do something that I'm not. Right. So just really, trying to encourage, and hopefully this was a little bit just inspiring about movement and how things are possible and what is possible with this population.
Right now, are you only located in California?
So yes, yes and no. We have our brick and mortar gym in a town called Encino, which is like 30 minutes from the city of Los Angeles. But we're now virtual. We do 4 group classes virtually, and we do a lot of private training virtually. So
nice.
our home base is in California, yes, but virtual, space has allowed us to do cool things like this and talk to people from Philly.
Yeah, actually, I just noticed a few families were posting something about that in the special needs group in Philly. So I'll make sure to share your information with them. But they were specifically looking just for this. They were saying, my kid gained so much weight during COVID and, the whole thing that you've been saying. So I'll make sure to share this with them.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, and that's, really, like we were never in a virtual space prior to the pandemic. So like many horrible things, happened during this pandemic, and it was very challenging. But the one thing, the silver lining that came out of this is that we're able just to access a lot more athletes and to help a lot more families.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming and joining us again from California, making the time difference work. It's really awesome to get to connect even more during this virtual time. So yeah, I hope everybody checks you out on social media. I'm assuming you're like ZOOZ Fitness everywhere. Is that correct?
ZOOZ Fitness everywhere. Exactly. And what's also really cool, we've been trying to do these community events. We just did this one this past Sunday. It was a run and bagel making. So we recommended like a 30-minute run, walk, or roll. And then we had a professional baker help us make bagels, which was a huge success. So we're doing a lot of events like that, but which is like on our website and social media. So you can check that out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to the Pioneer Alumni Group for organizing this FC Talk and everyone for joining us. And I hope you'll check out Jake and ZOOZ Fitness. And also just one last plug for our gala coming up on April 25th. If you'd like to join us or participate in some way, we'd love to have you. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. This was an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.